Well, as you can see, I'm in a different studio today. I have right now 2 studios that I use, and we're on air in my little pickup. So anyway, the last video I talked to you a little bit about what I was thinking, or what I had seen when I was looking into what a real shepherd went through and his job and in his career. It didn't sound like something that a lot of people would want to get into. And today, or in this video, the next couple of 2 or 3 videos maybe, I'm going to talk about the sheepfold that's mentioned in chapter 10 verse 1. And we need to remember, don't forget that chapter 9 and chapter 10 flow right in with each other. Same scene is going on, same scenario. Jesus is talking to the Pharisees. Yes, there is a crowd there, but he is talking directly to them. And you need to remember that, because it does matter. Because some people would try to twist the context later on in the chapter when we get to some specific verses. And we need to remember who wrote this. Number one, who are the main characters and who is everybody talking to? You know, it does matter. So, at any rate, in verse 1, it says something like this: truly, truly, I say to you. What that means is this is something new that they may not have heard before. And he's wanting them to make sure their ears perk up and listen to this, because this is true what I'm telling you. So he says, truly, truly, I would say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs up another way, is a thief and a robber. That same feller that would climb up a different way to get at the sheep is a thief and a robber. And verse 2 goes on, and he says, but he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. So he's contrasting between a thief and a robber and a real shepherd. One who has, and we need to remember that the door is metaphoric for the right, the privilege, the ownership. And Yeshua, Jesus, has the right and the privilege and the ownership of the sheep. They're his sheep from eternity past. He has known who they are. And so what is this sheepfold, though? So the one that comes in by, the shepherd that goes or comes, he must go through the door to the sheepfold. And there's a thief and a robber that wants in the sheepfold. So what is the sheepfold? And that's what I want to talk to you about. Kind of took the long way around the mountain to get to this point, but we see that somebody can climb in this sheepfold where all the sheep are, right? There's a lot of sheep in there. And so what it is in each village, the communities across the land had a sheepfold, and the shepherds, when they would be done with their day in allowing the sheep to graze, they would bring their sheep to this sheepfold and it was usually like a large wall pen where the sheep could come in by the door, and they would and all the shepherds would bring their sheep to this sheepfold. It's where the sheep were supposed to be safe, and it was a common area for all the sheep to go. And so the shepherd, like I said, at his day's end, he would bring the sheep, and each sheep that shepherd was responsible for, he would drop a rod on his staff, and he would examine his sheep and make sure that there were no injuries. There were things that maybe he needed to attend to, on that sheep, and it was a very intimate situation where he got to know that sheep very well, and he would take care of it. And you know, a shepherd might have a few sheep, but mostly the sheep were owned by someone else, and the shepherd would be tending someone else's sheep. So he took his responsibility very serious. He was serious about his job, and the hired hand was the guy who would watch the door, and he was the guy that was supposed to care for the sheep at night when all the shepherds would go and rest, wherever that might be. And I'm sure that they were wore out tired when they were done. And so the thief and the robber came into play at night. And they would never go through the door because the guard was there. And they would climb up another way to get into the sheep. And that is the human element that I mentioned before in another video. And this guy, the thief or the robber, he would know that those sheep would not know his voice. They all knew that the sheep would know the voice of their shepherd. And so the sheep would be frightened and be causing a ruckus. And so what the thief and the robber would have to do is slit the throat of the sheep so that he could get at the substance, which was the wool and the meat. And what he would do is slit the throat, throw the sheep over the wall. A lot of times probably they had partners out there that would help them. And that's how that went. It's a very graphic, I know, and I'm sorry, but this is reality. It's a word picture that Jesus was painting for us so that we would understand the seriousness of what's actually happening. So the thief and the robber, they would usually come at night under cover of darkness. So what is the sheepfold? Some people might say, well, it's the church. But it's not the church, because in a few verses we see that the shepherd leads them out of the sheepfold. And he's not going to lead us out of the true church, right? Some people might say, well, it's heaven. Well, no. Why would he want to lead us out of heaven? That's the ultimate goal, right? So I'm going to have to start over in another video to tell you, but remember the widows, the orphans, and the poor, and take everything I say with a grain of salt. Love you.